Good morning. Welcome to the August 29th update on Major Hurricane Ida here. As always, these thoughts are mine alone, and in making decisions regarding Ida, please refer to the National Hurricane Center, your local weather office, and your local authorities for all the latest information pertaining to your area. If you are in a mandatory evac zone, or you have been told to leave and you have not yet, it may be too late, but please do your best to leave and get to safety as Ida makes landfall here. Oh man. Well, here we are with Ida this morning. I promised that I would make a video on it before it made landfall here, and the sun has just risen on Ida. This is the mesosector, 1 minute imagery on the sunrise of Ida here, and you can see that we have a very well-defined inner core here, very well-defined eye, very warm eye, according to recon data and satellite imagery here, and you have a well-defined central dense overcast here with very deep convection, very symmetrical, and has only gotten better defined throughout the night. I've been watching this all night. We've been watching this all night, and this has only gotten stronger as time goes on. National Hurricane Center currently pins it at winds of 150 miles per hour and pressure of 933 millibars per the latest full NHC advisory. They are doing hourly updates on the system now, so that information may be outdated by the time you may be watching this video. It may peak at a higher strength. That is definitely what is implied in the most recent forecast discussion brought to you by the National Hurricane Center, suggesting that the storm may reach winds of 155 miles per hour before making landfall here. And they do mention in their forecast discussion that it could very much possibly reach Category 5 strength here before it makes landfall. It only has a few hours left. You can see that the distance between it and land is not very far now, and it is entering the shelf waters of the Gulf of Mexico. These waters that are in between it and landfall here are rather shallow, but they are also incredibly warm here, and given the fact that the system will only be over this part of the water for a little bit, it does not warrant any significant weakening in the fact that the National Hurricane Center continues to forecast strengthening before landfall indicates that these waters being shallow are essentially a non-factor in the intensity of the system here. You know, also notice that there is banding setting up on the eastern side here, all these popcorn-looking thunderstorms here on the eastern side. This is indicative of the storm making landfall here, and these bands will be producing tornadoes. If we look at the latest Storm Prediction Center graphic here, we zoom in a little bit here, you can see that there is a tornado watch in effect for this entire region of coast here, and you can see the bands that are coming ashore here, marked here, 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 and even inland now here. All these will be able to produce tornadoes, and these may be pretty significant bands here, not just because of the tornadoes, but also because of the rainfall that they will be dropping, as these are very intense thunderstorms, producing a lot of lightning and possibly being able to produce tornadoes. So please do be on the lookout as this does come ashore here, and this tornado watch will likely be in effect for a while as Ida moves up and then gets into Mississippi here. These bands, rather than coming onshore like this, will be coming onshore like this, and that will still be capable of producing tornadoes, and so there will likely be several hours to possibly a day worth of strong bands of convection and rain and possible tornadoes affecting this region here. If we go to the updated peak surge graphic, due to the fact that we have now seen the storm strengthen past the initial forecast peak by the National Hurricane Center here, you can see that the surge values have been updated. 12 to 16 feet between Port Fourchon and the mouth of the Mississippi River here, and now 8 to 12 feet along the Mississippi Delta region on the north side, here all the way to Bay St. Louis, where water rises will be rather significant here. This is anything above 10 feet. This entire region from Morgan City all the way to Bay St. Louis here should be expecting catastrophic to unsurvivable storm surge here. And due to the fact that the terrain in southeast Louisiana, is mainly flat, the water will likely make it very far inland here. And so if you're in towns that, you're a little far away from the water here, like Huma, or even on the southern side of New Orleans here, if you're in Grand Isle or any place where you have been told to leave for a couple of days now, and you're still here, and you're still considering whether or not you should leave, you need to be gone. This is unsurvivable storm surge, and it's not just the surge, because you can run from the surge, but you have to hide from the wind, and the wind is incredibly powerful. And actually, pull this up real quick. So, a lot of people are comparing Zeta to this system, and Zeta hit New Orleans and the areas on the southeastern side of the system with winds of about 75 to 80 miles per hour. And so we're going to use 75 as 1 here. Winds are currently at 150 miles per hour, with the possibility of it becoming even stronger to a 160 mile per hour hurricane. Anywhere between that, it's really just ridiculous here. And so these winds could be anywhere between 256 times and 429 times more destructive than the winds that hit you last year with Zeta. This is incredibly dangerous, and the danger when the National Hurricane Center says all these insane things that sound just absolutely apocalyptic, they hold value. This is incredibly dangerous. There has not been a hurricane this strong to hit southwest Louisiana in 165 years. The last island hurricane was the last storm to make landfall along southeastern Louisiana. It came in right here over Last Island, deleted the island off of the map here, and had winds of 150 miles per hour and 934 millibar pressure here. And as of current assessments, Ida is 1 millibar deeper and has the same amount of winds, with the potential to strengthen even more before landfall. There is still about 6 hours before landfall here. There's still plenty of time for the system to strengthen and then level off. Also, if you are in Mississippi here and well away from the coast here, you still see water rises well above normal tide levels here, especially between the Alabama-Florida border and Bay St. Louis here. You're not out of the clear. You're not out of the picture just because you're not in the core of the system. The core of the system will come ashore right here, but all the water is being funneled onshore here, and all these winds will be pushed onshore for several hours, potentially days, or potentially a day and a half at least, of onshore flow that is in excess of 20 knots, which moves water onshore here, because you can see how well removed the water rises in Pensacola are. Core is supposed to come ashore here, so it's very far away, and you can see that even near Sabine Pass in Texas, there is still an expected 1 to 3 foot water rise here, and that is enough to cause significant problems even along the western part of the Louisiana coast here, and even Pecan Island, Intracoastal City, etc. The entire Louisiana coast should be expecting water rises, and if you are in the area between Burns Point and Ocean Springs here, you need to be gone if you are in a surge zone. This is going to be very, very destructive. The danger of the system cannot be overstated. This is an incredibly dangerous hurricane now. Some have never seen a storm this strong hit this region in their lifetime. If we go to the rainfall forecast, remember how we've been discussing this for the past few days, how the system is going to turn and then sit for a little bit here and take a while to get out of the area here. And so this is going to be able to drop several inches of rain. And now a widespread swath of land here, mainly over New Orleans and the metro area, is now expected to get in excess of 15 inches of rain here before all is said and done. And you can see this happen. If we look at the 3-day cone here, you can see the system already a little east actually of track here, so it could get a little close to New Orleans, and then it will turn here. And so this is Tuesday here. Right now, we are very early in the morning on Sunday right now, so this is about 2 days worth of rainfall being spread onto the coast here. And so if you're on the eastern side of the system and you get under a band, you do need to be very careful with where you drive and stay away from low-lying areas, and also be aware of the warnings that your National Weather Service office and your local officials give you. If you look at the broad scale of this storm here, you can see Ida is now approaching landfall here, and you can see all the bands coming on shore here. This is a very large system in terms of the atmosphere influence that it has. You can see all the outflow expanding well away from the system here, influencing the upper level winds. Even in central Texas here, you can see some outflow from the storm. And the reason that the system will be turning to the north, you can see our deep layer ridge here, centered over the north or over the Carolinas here. And that is going to be rounding this ridge here. You can see it's going to be turning north as the flow is out of the north, and then you have our trough here that is going to be guiding the system and generally progressing the flow out of the west. And one of the reasons that the tornado threat is so significant with the system is not just because of the strength of the system and the strength of the upper level winds of the system, but also because of the shear that may be induced upon the system, which will likely help the upper levels of any supercellular-like structure here within these bands that would be able to likely enhance the tornado threat just a little bit. That's just a little factoid about the tornado threat on the eastern side of the system here. So there are plenty of hazards to be worried about here. And notice if we go back to the Hurricane Center forecast graphic here, that it is still a hurricane well inland here. This is 1 a.m. on Monday here. We are at 7 a.m. on Sunday right now. And you can see that this is still a hurricane and still actually a tropical storm even on Monday afternoon here. So we're going to be dealing with heavy winds and heavy rain in this region for a very long time. And any wobble, any little move that the system makes towards the north or towards the west is very crucial now, as the city of New Orleans is now in the crosshairs here. This is the city of New Orleans right here. And you can see how close this system's core is to the region. And actually, to get a better idea of this, we're going to look at the New Orleans radar here. There's a prolonged shot of the radar indicating an initially northward movement, and then you can see it turns off to the west, and now it's stair-stepping again. This is very typical of intense hurricanes. They tend to not go in a single direction. They don't tend to go just straight. They go on a stair-stepping motion, so they will wobble as they come ashore, and this is because of the inner core being so incredibly strong and trying to intensify, and so you'll see the center of the system wobble a lot, and you can see now it's jumping to the north again. Every move that this storm makes is very important for the people that are in the southern suburbs and the western suburbs of New Orleans here. This is not going to go over downtown, at least not entirely. The outer core of this system, you can see these very strong bands here just off to the northwest of northeast of the eye wall. These are packing quite a punch, and these are packing winds very close to 100 miles an hour here. There's already a gusts that have been reported along the Mississippi Delta here, and the stations that are associated with the Mississippi Delta here that are in excess of 100 miles per hour. This area of the system here that is on the northeast side has been notoriously strong, and the hurricane force winds have been well removed from the center here. And if we go back to our 3-day cone, you can clearly see that this hurricane force wind field is well removed from the center. This is a very large area of intense wind, and so it is very likely at this point that if we see the system wobble any closer to the north here, it's going to generally move along this track here, and any wobble to the north at any point would bring even worse conditions to an area that is already incredibly vulnerable to the onslaught of the storm here. And so all this banding that you're seeing on the northern side is indicative of hurricane force winds or more, and gusts that are well in excess of hurricane force. Right now, you're probably going to start seeing tropical storm force winds within the next 30 to 40 minutes here, spreading on to the coast as you see the main core of thunderstorms begin to come on shore here. And these tropical storm force winds will continue to get worse as time goes on. Hopefully that if you are in this area, you are gone, because it will only get worse from here on out, and you have the time to evacuate is gone. The time to evacuate from anywhere in southeastern Louisiana is gone. You are stuck, and you are now on your own. And the National Weather Service office in New Orleans has reiterated this message to you, that if you refuse to evacuate, once the winds get above 40 miles per hour, aka right now, you will not be able to receive any help. You are on your own. So please stay safe, please have a plan in place, and if you are in the core path of this system, good luck to you. That's all I can say at this point, because this is about as bad as it gets for any part of the United States. We haven't had a landfall this strong since last year, and if we get to 160 miles per hour and a Category 5 hurricane, this would be the 5th time in U.S. history that we get a Category 5 hurricane making landfall on the United States here. Well, I'll be back with a video tomorrow discussing the rest of the tropics here. This is the last video on Ida, and unfortunately, such a grim picture being painted for southwest Louisiana, and is or southeastern Louisiana. I'm very sorry to all the people that are in this area. Please stay safe, and let's hope for a swift recovery from this. That's all I got for now. Thanks for watching.